Hey guys, and if you are viewing this, that means you are viewing the last PowerPoint video of the semester, and that also means that you've made it to the final week of the semester. So pat yourself on the back, clasp your hands together, give yourself a round of applause, whatever you feel that needs to be done in order to congratulate yourself on getting this far. Now, you guys had just finished the group project together, and in the group project, your group was allowed to provide me with a rhetorical argument outside of an essay. For this final project, which is a proposal, you are given the same leeway, except you are going to be doing this as an individual. So ultimately, your goal is to provide me with a proposal project that is outside of your traditional essay format. However, I'm also giving you the opportunity to write an essay if you find that that is easier. But for any of you who might have enjoyed doing a PowerPoint, a Prezi, a video, a podcast, this is your type of project because it allows you to be creative and allows you to get outside the box of that typical essay. In regards to the proposal, let's kind of take a look and see what are the expectations for this particular project. First and foremost, in regards to a proposal, we tend to see that proposals identify a particular problem. There is usually preliminary context which should focus on mounting areas of concern. So as with your other rhetorical arguments, writing to convince, evaluate, analyze, preliminary context is key, primarily because it establishes that there's a problem that needs a solution. Then you need to establish what kind of proposal you are presenting. Is it a personal, modified, or original proposal? And I'll explain each of those in a moment. Your procedure briefly discusses the process and time frame. So essentially, what separates a proposal from some of the other rhetorical arguments is that one, it establishes a solution to a problem, but it also clearly lays out how you intend to provide that solution and how that solution is going to work and the amount of time it would take for it to be achieved. You can draw parallels to other proposals, talk about background, examine process, and ultimately proposals focus on the future. So first and foremost, you need to identify a problem. How does this particular issue go beyond opinion? So beyond just the subjective notion that I hate this, particular idea, I don't like this particular team, I don't like this particular place to eat. How do you go beyond that? How do you take that problem and provide a solution to it? Focus on current or ongoing topics that have not been exhausted or are not too minuscule. Legalizing marijuana, abortion have been pretty much exhaustive. Topics that are too minuscule, you have to be mindful because there might not be enough source material to help support what it is you're trying to propose. And what kind of argument can you make to set up your proposal? So, first and foremost, you need to identify what your preliminary context is. Preliminary context should focus on the mounting area's concern. The strongest proposals have substantial support that indicate that adopting a solution is necessary to establish change. Notice that I've put solutions plural as well. Sometimes proposals have more than one solution or answer, and depending on how expansive you want to go with your discussion, you might provide more than one answer to your problem. The introduction of your essay or project can be relatively more substantial since you will probably be providing argumentative context. So don't be afraid that your argument is relatively thorough. The more thorough an argument, it helps display why a solution is needed. Now, there are three particular types of proposals you might consider. First is the personal proposal, ideas that are closely tied to your personal background or expertise. Each of you has a particular affinity for the things you like, experiences that might have connected to you in a certain way. You could take those particular aspects and create a solution to maybe some of the hurdles or problems that you've ran into in your own life. Modified proposals look at revising or altering ideas that could be made more effective. So you might take someone's workout plan and you might modify it or adjust it to fit your particular lifestyle or fit someone that has a particular body type that is more closely related to you. And then there's original proposals, which are usually the fewest and far between. They are the relatively authentic concepts. So these are innovative, newer ideas, things that might not have been invented yet, or things that are filling a void to where people have not addressed a solution to yet. So if we are looking at personal examples, how to be a better student, soul searching, finding a purpose in life, minding moderation, how do you regulate your vices. I've also had students who have had issues with family members being in gangs or dealing with drugs, and they proposed areas to create programs that help bring former gang members into normalcy and help them assimilate back into society. The same thing with people who might have dealt with addiction, where they've talked about different proposal programs that would be helpful for individuals out there dealing with addiction issues. Modified proposals, you might look at diet and exercise plans that take into consideration varying types of bodies, as I talked about a moment ago, vehicles that run on varying types of energy, and YouTube channels that scouts for talent in various mediums. So, for instance, America's Got Talent meets social networks. One thing that you have to be mindful of is simply informing me of other people's proposals that already exist. Your proposal should essentially be your own idea. If you simply rattle off a bunch of examples, for example here, a variety of different vehicles that run on varying types of energy that have already been invented, you are not proposing anything. You are simply exploring a topic and informing me about it. Make sure that your proposal is your own idea, and you can take other people's ideas to help support what it is you're trying to argue, but it should ultimately be your own solution. And then original proposal examples that have been provided, some more recent than others: solar roadways, instant sobriety pill, new idea for a TV show, movie, video game, comic, what have you. These might all be original proposals. Some examples for you that students have talked about. What is the best way to achieve a healthy, well-rounded lifestyle? Remember, whether you are writing a proposal, an evaluation, an argument, an analysis, you always need to provide a thesis, which is an argumentative claim. In this case, achieving a healthy lifestyle is truly a balancing act of the mind, body, and soul. One can feed their particular appetites without slipping into damaging areas of over self-indulgence. In what areas of culture are women still unequal to men? How can women achieve equality in these areas? Creating a culture of egalitarian opportunity or equal opportunity between men and women starts as early as childhood. Observing and revising reinforced gender norms that establish men as dominant and women as submissive is the first step in shifting the scales of inequality. Is online learning as good as face-to-face learning? How does one know which to choose? One might take into account their lifestyle, time management, and learning preference prior to choosing an online or traditional form of schooling. Can you be good without God? Our modern culture appears to be shifting from a less theological foundation toward a more defined connection in the human condition. Though many individuals may still express a belief in the divine, they may not necessarily look to an omniscient body for guidance, answers, or strength. Does pop culture deserve serious study? Despite their reputation of being insensitive, prejudiced, and low art, modern cartoons have taken cultural observation and critical analysis to the next level. If properly integrated into an academic curriculum, shows such as The Simpsons, South Park, and Family Guy could successfully provide a more relatable learning experience for the modern student. Once you've established your argument, which these examples have provided, then you give me your procedure, which focuses on two main aspects: the process, how does it get done, and the time frame, how long will it take. So, when we look at different ideas for proposals, you can draw parallels to other proposals. Why haven't other solutions worked? Or what solutions have worked but could still be revised? You talk about your background. How are your solutions different? What does your plan offer? And why is your plan better or more effective than other examples from the past? Elaborate on process and time frame. Go into detail about how your solution to the issue will work and describe the stages in which your solution will unfold. So essentially, one thing that you have to be mindful of with these proposals is that they have to be practical. You can be creative, but you can't be impractical. So, for instance, say you were proposing, how do we get the Chicago Bears back to the Super Bowl? One thing you can say is, if I were proposing as an active GM, we would have to restructure our drafting process and focus on these following areas. And in 3 years' time, this is how long it would take for the Bears to get back to the Super Bowl. One thing you cannot propose is that I will build a time machine and go back to 1985 and recruit the entire Bears defense. An improbable idea. though maybe time travel isn't too far away. Right now, can't do it. So make sure that your time frame and your proposal are plausible. Remember that proposals are hypothetical and focus on change. Therefore, focus on the future to establish what your inevitable solution will lead to. What can the reader expect if change does or does not occur? Normally, when people propose things, they indicate if you were to take on this proposal, you will see the following changes and it will affect your life in this way. Other times, people tend to elicit fear with their proposal, some sort of consequential demise if you do not follow this proposal. It's up to you, depending on the tone of your project. Lastly, what kind of proposal are you establishing? Remember, are you modifying something? Are you establishing something innovative? Are you creating a direct challenge or revision to something? Is your proposal singular or a variety of alternatives? Are you focusing on one solution or are you providing multiple options? Remember that your proposal can be creative and inventive but not implausible. And lastly, establish your time frame, your historical context to establish why the problem still needs more modern resolution, plus your future timetable. How long before the audience can start to notice change? So essentially, you should tell me how your proposal is going to work and give me an estimate. It doesn't have to be precise, but at least an idea of 5, 10, 15 years of what you potentially might see if your proposal were to take shape.